The God Valley incident taking shape. Hello, One Piece enthusiasts, I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1095. This chapter went from fighting Saturn, seeing the state of Egghead, to finding out about the backstory of one of the most saddest characters in the story. And I'm at a loss for words for what I've read. And time to analyze, because that's what we do here. Before you move on, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. Well, where do I start? Everything's coming together. The way Kuma's backstory is shaping up to be right now, and in fact, I believe 90% of Kuma's backstory has been covered in this chapter. It's very unexpected because the way I expected Kuma to be a tyrant king. I expected Kuma to be someone special who's actually good. Of course he's good. No wonder he's working with the Revolutionary Army. He is basically a king who opposes the world government, who did oppose the world government, and the world government has now captured him for some reason. But it turns out to be very complex, very saddening at the same time. Kuma was born a slave. Kuma was born a slave to the world government because of his race, and he is one of the missing races that Big Mom is yet to find in her kingdom, and that is the Bukarian race. So that's the race, that's the final race we were looking for. And of course, they were extinct, same as the Lunarians. They're an extinct race. They did something terrible with the world government, or whatever, in the eyes of the world government, or perhaps, let's just say, they took the sides of the ancient kingdom, and now they have to pay the price. Kuma had to pay because his father was of that race, and well, Kuma was basically meant to be a slave ever since his birth. And then we finally see at the end of the chapter that, Kuma met Ivankov whilst he was a slave of the Celestial Dragons, and now we're finally getting to see some of the. In fact, we're going to see backstories of Ivankov as well. Ivankov started off as a slave of the Celestial Dragons, who finally ended up meeting dragons somehow, and they formed the Revolutionary Army. It's insane to think about, but at the same time, it isn't. Because the theory of Dragon being in the Marines is sort of also coming true. This could also make sense if, by happen chance, Dragon got to find out about the slaves and the history of the Celestial Dragon's brutal work. Whilst he was in the Marines, he did exactly what his dad told him to do. Garp told him to do, and well, he's figured out the story of the world, or sort of figured out who the bad guy actually is, and now he tries to recruit slaves as Revolutionary Army who will oppose the world government, which sort of definitely makes sense. Now, of course, we don't know the full story of Dragon yet, but you see where I'm getting at. But this is it. Now we even got to figure out where the operational base was, where Kuma and Ivankov met. It was in God Valley. I'm going to make a detailed video about the whole God Valley incident, probably this week, because we have a break week, and I think a lot of things have shaped up for me to make an analysis on what actually went down, from sort of start to the ending, and some things in the middle, but that's for a future video. For now, let's go back to the story. Go back to the backstory. Of course, interesting enough, we see a young Figurlin Garling, looks exactly like Shanks, and yeah, Shanks is definitely Garling's son, if anything. So yeah, the Gorosei was standing correct that Shanks is from the Figurlin family, and of course makes sense because Garling is probably Shanks' father. I don't think it's his grandfather, because the time gap doesn't really make sense. Makes sense for him to be a father. So that's pretty much it. And I can sort of also, I think we all can make a hypothesis as to why as to how Shanks ended up in God Valley and how Roger got him. But that's for a later story. And in fact, the God Valley thing turned out to be a lot darker than what it actually is. Of course, it was a hideout for Celestial Dragons, or it was a main hub for Celestial Dragons. It was a hub for the Celestial Dragons to have fun with slaves, or rather, chase them down, send them for their lives, and worthless slaves who couldn't run away or couldn't hide were to be killed, which is exactly what was going to happen to Kuma. And well, of course, we see Bonnie talk about Joy Boy as well. It's very interesting how Bonnie gets to be one of those few people who actually gets to see Luffy in his Gear 5. First few people to see his Gear 5, who is actually Joy Boy. Of course, Kuma would love to see this as well. Speaking of Bonnie, of course, Saturn is too much for the Straw Hats to handle. For the backstory of Kuma, I'm just gonna say this is for now. Maybe we'll get back to it in the future. Maybe we'll get to see a lot more in the next chapter. But that's for the backstory for this chapter. And as of the situation of Egghead Island, the Straw Hats are in deep trouble. Zoro's still fighting Lucci. I doubt this will be an easy fight. Of course, it was a really easy fight for Luffy because he's Luffy. But for Zoro, I doubt this is going to be an easy fight. This is probably going to be a fight on par with King, if not harder. And Sanji, of course, cannot take down Saturn. And as expected of Luffy, yeah, the fandom was right when they said that Kizaru did get hurt. And Kizaru is down for the count for now. Of course, Kizaru is down for the count. That means that hit was effective. We're going to see Admirals versus Yonko theories again. But dude, I just don't want to get into it. Point is, Luffy hurt Kizaru. Luffy's down for a bit. He'll probably come back up. Definitely will come back up at some point. Bonnie is trapped. Bonnie is captured. And, well, this doesn't seem to be good. Sanji tried to lay a hit on Saturn, but got nothing out of it. I doubt anyone else can do anything. The only savior at this point is the Iron Giant. Other than that, I don't see anything happening at all. And Egghead Island is shaping up to be definitely one of the worst arcs for the Straw Hats as of the level of threat, because yeah, we did see this level of threat in Wano with Big Mom Kaido, of course. But remember, Luffy had allies. Luffy had an alliance, like Kid Law could deal with Big Mom. This time, he has no one other than the Straw Hats. In fact, we haven't even seen the worst. The Blackbeard Pirates are still here. Remember, the Blackbeard Pirates are either on their way or is right now on Egghead Island. We don't even know what they're up to. So I doubt this is the end of the conflict. After the done with the Marines, it's gonna be escalated to something very big. That's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.